Real Cuff Radio is about to begin.
I am a child of God. I'm no
Everybody loves a hero.
slave to fear.
I believe there's a hero in all of us.
I am a child.
Welcome to Real Cuff Radio. And tonight, Pete Rose is supposed to be hosting the show with me, but he hasn't shown up yet, so maybe we'll get him in the middle of the show. But we're going to talk about some baseball. We're going to talk about the coronavirus. We're going to talk about the opportunities that are going to open for these baseball players. You know, when everything looks like it's not going to work and everything looks like it's impossible, one thing to remember is nothing is impossible with God. But you still have to put forth the effort. Nothing's given on a silver spoon. Let me just tell you who we've got on the line tonight. So right now, we've got Tony Perez, George Foster, Jack Johnson, Bryce Miller, and I believe Johnny Johnson is still on the line too. You know, I'll start with you, George. In the middle of all this coronavirus and shutdown and everything else, I know that there's a lot of kids that are sitting at home playing video games and goofing off when they have this opportunity to get out there, do something, go jogging, play by yourself, whatever. You have an opportunity to get in better shape than when you were basically kicked off the field.
Well, the bottom line is that if you want it, depending on how much you want it or want something, you're going to go and work at it. And a lot of kids need something to be organized or somebody else to put it together. But if you really want something, you got to go work at it. And running is something you can do wherever you are. I know when I was growing up, I would get a bucket of balls and go and throw towards the diamond or do soft toss into the diamond area, do my running. There's certain things that you can do on your own, and if you can get another person, that's fine, but you don't have to rely on somebody else to do it. Working on your routes in fly balls or working on your leads on base, working on your sliding. So there are different things that you're able to do and take advantage of the time that you have now so that you're ready when the opportunities do come about.
Hey, by the way, just to let y'all know, when I put it into video form, I will put y'all stats up so everybody knows, because if they don't know, like you, George, you know, you were the 1977 National League MVP. But I'll put all that up there because it's easier just to do the show, let the people read the stats, or let them read it at the end of the radio show or whatever. But that way we can just keep going on.
Well, let them know that we know what we're talking about.
Exactly. You guys do know what you're talking about. That's why I was really hoping that Pete would be here, because he remembers every date. He remembers every play. It just amazes me.
I know. I relied on him when we were playing another team. He tells me to many it may not sound like a big deal, but let me know the rotation of the pitchers coming in, so that now I can visualize what that guy had thrown before and what he does have, so I'm mentally prepared when we play against that team and those starters are coming in line.
Jack?
So.
All right, so Jack, I already feel like I know you because I did a show. By the way, Jack's father is Johnny Johnson, who was a baseball player, and the show was episode 57, but Johnny basically ended up with a very rare cancer. I won't go through the whole thing, but Jack was the miracle baby. They said he would never have kids, and it was actually filmed on live TV. Well, I have two players today, Jack Johnson, and I've got Bryce Miller. They were both juniors this year, but Bryce was a junior at Texas A&M, and he's a pitcher. He was number 32. Jack was a junior in Katy, Texas, at the high school there. So we're kind of getting a point of view from each one. So why don't you start first, Jack, and kind of tell us what this coronavirus did to your season.
So, yeah, of course, the season got canceled, and we were all pretty bummed out. Our team actually definitely had the most chemistry it's ever had in the program before. I mean, you could ask our head coach. The guys were for each other. We bought into the program, and, that's really important when you're trying to go far. When we all heard that our season got canceled, we were just – it was heartbreaking, especially for the seniors because – when they're going into college trying to compete for a spot as a freshman, some colleges still have, the ability of the seniors to come back and play again a year. So, they're going to have to compete twice as hard. But for me, I still have summer ball, so I still have a chance. But compared to the seniors that are graduating from the high school level to college, it's completely different.
Now, I saw some crazy stuff on YouTube. You exercising it. My favorite one was that I've never seen before was you had this small parachute hooked to your back and you were jogging to give resistance.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, well, I'll hook it on the video anyway because I thought that was a clever idea. Bryce, what about you? What are you doing? Since you're not able to really go work out and you don't have, facilities available.
Yeah, we ever since it all got shut down, we haven't been allowed to be at A&M or in College Station and use our facilities or anything. So all we can really do, I try to long toss 3 or 4 times a week and, kind of do what I can in the garage and lift weights a little bit. Not too much you can do other than, just kind of stuff on your own and just try to stay somewhat in shape and stay active while we're doing all this and while everybody's sitting at home.
I was talking to Pete the other day, and he told me, he said in 1981, he said they were on strike for 53 days. And he said every day I was working out and I was in the batting cages. Unfortunately, right now, there are no batting cages. I think there are starting to open up here in Texas. The last, 2 months, there hasn't been anything. But Pete said when that strike was over, he came out better than he was before, and which, of course, that's definitely an advantage you players can have. The majority of them I've talked to are sitting at home playing Nintendo games and Xbox and whatever else, gaining weight.
One other thing. Last thing I heard was that we're supposed to have our facilities reopen on the 1st. So hopefully, even if we have to go in and spread out and, a couple guys in at a time. At least if that does happen, we'll be able to use the facilities, sit there and eat and lift and use the field and everything. So that's what we're looking forward to right now. But
So, Tony, what do you say about what do you think they should be doing right now?
Well, they should be working out. Somewhere, somehow, because I agree with George. George say it's all right. You don't need a few people to stay in shape. You can do it yourself, and you can find something you can do about your hitting or about the physical, running. I think it's running because I'm not doing anything right now. I'm sitting at home, but I'm not sitting at home all the time. I just came back from a walk. I walk an hour. And I'm 78 years old, almost. It's what I say. You cannot, even if you cannot go out and you cannot go to the gym and whatever you work out, you can find something and to do it. Like a pizza in 81. In 81, when we got the strike, I went back to Puerto Rico. But I didn't went to Puerto Rico on vacation. I went to Puerto Rico to be with my family, but at the same time, I run on the beach, to do my running on the beach, and then I found somebody, to go and hit because, I use the stadiums over there, and we got some other guys. That was more easy, and this one now, because you cannot be in groups, you cannot be with too many people, but at that time you can go, but I never sit down all the time. I never went there to lay on the beach or and I have parties and go out. You know, I just went to be with my family, and you know, I'm away from they, you know, open it up all the camp, and then we start playing again. But I had to be ready. I was ready when I came back.
I would never believe that we would have been shut down like we were right off the bat, because we were going to go to the College World Series, and that was canceled. I mean, the first thing they did was they canceled that. So, which just amazed me because, you know, we do live in America. To think that something like this would just be able to shut us down is just crazy. The reason we picked Jack and picked Bryce to have on here is because of the fact that they both are actually doing something to stay in shape and be ready when it starts back up. You know, I was amazed at some of the things I've seen where Jack's been working out, and Bryce, seeing some of his stuff too, not as much as I saw on Jack. The reason is, you know, my dad went to Texas A&M. Two of my brothers went there. Their wives went there. My oldest son went there. His wife went there. Bryce's mother, Denise, has been posting a ton of his stuff on Facebook and stuff, so I've seen a lot of the things he's doing. And, I mean, I've got kids sitting at home. One of them is a senior in college right now, and since the baseball thing stopped, he's just trying to finish his college up, but you know, he's playing a lot of games, and I've got a tennis player. I've drug him to the tennis courts like twice because I'm like, look, you got to play. This is going to be over soon. And whether you're a football player, tennis player, you know, baseball player or whatever, if, you know, you should at least do one thing a day to keep you sharp and keep you going in the right direction, because this will end probably as fast as it started. And we'll be back to what we'll be calling our new normal. We just need to be ready.
Well, the worst thing is come back and then incur an injury. So it's being a pitcher, you got to go out there and throw a lot. Being a hitter, you got to swing the bat a lot. But the common ingredient of both is you got to keep those legs in shape, because you throw with your legs and you hit with your legs. And you got to make sure those legs are in shape, so in pitching that you don't put a lot of strain on your arm. And in hitting, you want to make sure that your legs, so you're able to drive with your lower body and not try to muscle up from the waist up. So doing those things that's going to get your body ready. Other things you can fill in if it's weight training or weightlifting. But when you're weightlifting, making sure that you're not lifting heavy weight, lift lightweight. If you can't do 15 to 20 reps in each set, that it's too heavy. So being able to do at least 3 sets of that. But you can do things, push-ups, sit-ups, things that's going to help using your body itself as a resistance. But you got to do things. You can't wait till the bell rings. Be ready when they say you can go out.
Exactly. Hey, Johnny, are you still on?
Yes, I am still on, and I was going to comment that, you know, what we're seeing with the summer ball and what we're hearing about the coaches from various colleges, you know, they've sent Jack a lot of emails asking for his summer schedule because they're going to try to get out and see games, but a lot of them can't get out, and they got to wait until, you know, they can follow the rules, you know, for everybody fair and square. So they're not going to let the big D1 schools do something different than they are the D2 and D3, et cetera. And so the coaches have also been I've been seeing a lot of stuff on Twitter, a lot of stuff on Facebook, but also just emails of coaches saying, hey, due to the shutdown, you know, please just send us some videos. Please let us know what you're doing. Please keep us involved in what's going on with yourself, with your workouts, because there's a big chance that the coaches aren't going to be able to get out and see a lot of kids play. We were supposed to go to South Carolina, that got canceled. All the baseball that Jack will play this summer, hopefully, fingers crossed, you know, good Lord willing, will only be here in Texas. They're not going to let them travel outside the state. So that's going to limit the number of opportunities to be seen and the exposure. You know, last year they played in Atlanta and New Mexico, and the stands were full of coaches, and I mean full of coaches from all of the major schools. and it's just going to be tough this summer.
It's going to be a challenge, but now doing things to life itself is a challenge, but what do you need to do to be prepared for that? Say in Jack's case, I know you're doing running, but now it's get your legs to a point that you run into 40 or run into 60, seeing what your time is and being able to record that time so you can report that to the scouts. And in Bryce's case, is being able to work on your arm speed and seeing what velocity that you do have so that they have an idea what you have, since they're not able to come and watch you now, but at least they put you on their list, on their radar, knowing what you can do and not do. And I was talking about your repertoire. It's important to know, as a coach, I want to know, what do you throw? What do you have confidence in? And you were saying the fastball, the slider, the curve, the changeup, but back to the fastball, knowing that you can do different things with it, the two-seamer, the four-seamer, and then they may ask you, what's your mindset, what's your approach? Same with Jack, what's your approach when you're at the plate? And as a pitcher, what's your approach when you're out there on the mound? So they want to get an idea what you can do, and this is not the best way, but the second best way for them to find out about you.
So, Johnny, before this all started, you were doing a lot of coaching. What advice would you give to other people out there listening?
Well, I would first and foremost agree with everything Tony and George have said here today. We're fortunate enough to have things here at our home. We have an indoor area to hit, an outdoor area. We got a mound. Kids can come over here and throw bullpens, and Jack can catch bullpens. We can hit and throw and stuff. Specifically to your question, Todd, everybody needs to do something. As all the professionals here who have all the records and all the credibility of everything they're saying, everybody should listen to them. The players should do something, and I think they should do something every day. I think they should have a plan. They should execute that plan. And George is a good point. Put some times down. Where are you? Where did you get to? Have you improved? Do something different. Mix it up. Don't make it so monotonous. But you can find something. Even, I remember as a kid, I didn't have anybody necessarily at the house to play with sometimes. So I was tennis ball on the roof working on pop flies. I was tennis ball against the side of the house working on my grounders. You got to be creative. You got to find a way, because if you want it bad enough, and that's sort of kind of how we were talking a little bit before the show started, if you want it bad enough, you got to go out there and you got to be different. You got to show yourself different. You got to show that you have what it takes on the inside to be a self-starter. And it's the same thing in the classroom. I do want to comment on that since you asked, Todd. A lot of these players now are gearing up to take the ACT and the SAT. They have to be self-motivated. They have to get up. They got to study. They got to do their lessons. They're not necessarily in school. They don't have a teacher looking over their shoulder. My wife is a school teacher, a 7th grade school teacher. She has stories daily of having to call and beg and plead with students and parents to do their schoolwork. Well, if you're in high school and you want to play at the next level, you better find a way to get motivated by yourself. Get up, set your alarm. When your buddies sort of cancel on you, you got to find a way inside to say, I'm going to still do my stuff because I want this bad enough. So, my advice is to find some friends that are driven like you are and hold each other accountable. Make a plan, write it down, and execute that plan every day. Do something different. Watch videos. Watch some old baseball. Goodness, I think I texted George and Tony and Pete not long ago. I watched one of the old World Series games just to see some baseball. Watch some baseball. Look at your position. Look how the players played. There's something you could do every day to get better, and you should do that.
I watch a lot of YouTube for myself to learn if it's golf, if it's tennis, or different ideas in teaching hitting. And just watching, I was watching Willie Mays today. I watched, of course, Tony, and watching their approach at the plate. And as a pitcher, watching these guys, how they pitch. Like I said earlier with Greg Maddux, watching what does he do? He doesn't throw maybe 100 miles an hour, 95, but he locates location. And in Bryce's case, work on, if you need to work on your pickoff move, working on your fielding, or something that you need to work on to make you more complete out there. So you not, after you throw the ball, you become a fielder. But you got to know you got to learn how to pitch, and having curveball, fastball, changeup, slider, that's having those, but now how do you utilize those? And that's when you learn how to pitch. And watching somebody who's doing that, look at YouTube and finding a player, and like in Jack's case, look at some YouTube of Johnny Bench, how he blocks the ball, how he gets set to throw the ball to second or to the other bases. Watch the best and see what you can learn from that. That's only going to make you a better player out there.
What I think is, you guys who are going to go now to school and going to college and high school, the thing you have to do really is think positive about this vital thing, because this might, you learn something. You learn a lot from this. Being home, can get out, can be with your friends, can work out with your friends. You can do a lot of things. You can learn from this. It's like you going to another places and another work and another people. Just learn, and you guys young. You guys just starting play baseball, and that's what you have to do. Keep working hard. Listen to what your coaches say, and go from there. You might learn from this. Make you a better player. Make you a better man. Because it's hard for everybody. It's not only for us. It's for everybody. A lot of people around the world is going through this, and we have to take advantage of this somehow. I know it's a terrible thing. I know it's a lot of people is going through bad things, but think positive about it and work hard. So listen to what this Joe say and Johnny and everybody. I mean, keep working on it, guys.
So, Bryce, Jack, you guys have any questions? Or
I'll pick up a little bit. So, just for the people who are listening, you don't need anything to go outside and run. You don't need anything to go and stretch. You don't need anything to go do push-ups or sit-ups like Mr. George and Mr. Tony said earlier. You could take a bat, stand in the mirror, and take quality swings just looking at yourself. You don't need, a cage or a machine or a tee or a ball. You have to learn to use what you got and find the silver lining every day. And, like Mr. Tony said, you just got to learn from it. And you got to get better from what you have.
Well put.
So, Bryce, do you have any questions?
I don't think so.
Is there a pitcher that you follow in the Major League today? Anyone that you idolize?
Obviously, I grew up as an Astros fan, and I watched Verlander and Garrett Cole, but recently I've been kind of watching Walker Buehler.
Okay. What do you like about Buehler besides his awesome fastball?
Yeah, I try to really, I had asked multiple times, when talking to scouts, one of their questions is, who do I compare myself to in the majors and that kind of stuff. And at that time, I didn't really know who. I hadn't really had anybody that I compared myself to. And then I found him and was able to kind of see some comparisons there and see some things that I liked. And
what have you been timed at, your fastball?
I've been up to 98.
Oh.
98 on fastball. My slider is usually 87, 89. My curveball is pretty slow. It's usually 74. And then changeup's 84, 85.
Strange that your changeup is you have more velocity than the curveball.
My changeup and my curveball have been what I've been trying to develop the last year. That's what I've been focusing on. My freshman year and my sophomore year in college, I was pretty much only fastball slider. And going into this season, I had pretty much only worked on my curveball and my changeup all summer and all fall, and was starting to implement those in game, and I was getting comfortable with them. And then obviously the season got ended and got short. But
yeah, the two guys you mentioned, Buehler's coming along, but Verlander is more established. He's more the pitcher, and he has more in his repertoire what you have. Watch him. I mean, watch YouTube. Mueller, he's a guy who can go out there and challenge guys because he has that fastball to do it. But in Verlander, he's a pitcher because he's going to locate and set the guy up. Even you don't have to strike a guy out to get him out. That's the thing to bear in mind. You don't have to strike a guy out to get him out.
I didn't start pitching until my senior year of high school. Throughout my few years of pitching, I've turned into more of a pitcher. I've learned more to pitch instead of just getting up there and throw. My senior year of high school and my freshman year of college, I would consider myself more of a thrower. I would just get up there and throw as hard as I could, not care where it went, and just whatever happens, happens. But as I've got more experience and I've played more and pitched in big situations, I've kind of learned more of how to pitch instead of how to throw, and like where to locate my pitches and what pitches to call in what situations, and et cetera.
So what other position did you play?
I played outfield.
Okay. So you sound like you have good running speed.
A little bit. I can move a little bit. Not bad anymore.
Yeah, running definitely translates into velocity most of the times in most cases, so that's good.
Yep. But you know how the importance of keeping those legs in shape.
100%.
Hey, Johnny, who do you have usually teaching the pitching and stuff in your facility?
Well, we had a couple different pitchers. We had some that played in some AAA, some, AA. George and Tony got to meet Mike Morgan. He came. He helped quite a bit for us. They called him the Nomad. I think he was one of 4 high schoolers that graduated from high school and immediately went into the big leagues. I think he graduated like June 1st or 4th, and he was pitching at Oakland A's Stadium on June the 12th, in front of 40,000 people. So we've had pitchers like that. A lot of times for us to get some good intel and some good instruction for our pitchers, though, even, George has been here. He's helped the kids. Tony's been here a few times. George has been on the field with the players, and really talking to the players about hitting also is, translate can help a pitcher, because, the pitcher is trying to do the opposite thing the hitter's doing. He's trying to get the hitter out. The hitter's trying to get a hit. So we have different people from time to time that's done different things for us.
I just feel like hopefully this will encourage some other kids to get off their butt and do something. I know these 2 players have already been out there keeping in shape and ready to go back. When it comes back, I'm telling you, there's going to be a lot of people out of shape.
Both of you got to do your homework in the sense of, in Bryce's case, say you watching the opponents hit. So you're knowing in batting practice where they like the ball and where they're going to hit it. So that gives you information. So when you're pitching against these guys, I remember Gaylord Perry was with San Diego Padres, and he would come around the batting cage. At first, I thought he was just coming around to say hi, but he was looking to see where we're hitting the ball in batting practice. So then I figured out why he was there. So what I started doing is started hitting everything to right field. So what do you think that he's thinking when he was pitching against me? That I'm not pulling the ball. So I figured he's going to throw me inside my first at bat or second at bat. So I'm looking middle in because I've shown him that I'm only going to hit the ball to right field to try to set him up. And now he's feeling, he's hitting the ball well to right field, so I'm going to come inside on him. So that I did my homework, but he was doing his homework, looking and see what the guys were doing. A lot of them didn't realize that he was there scouting to see what they were doing at the plate. Like I say, in batting practice, it's like having your favorite dessert. You're only going to swing at the pitches that you like. And in Jack's case, is watching the pitcher warm up, looking at his release point, see what he's throwing. And because I've seen the guy, may have seen the guy 3 or 4 times, but each time I'm watching him because he may come up with a different release point. So that's going to help me as a hitter. So I'm prepared for that. So that's part of doing your homework. And in Jack's case, when you're on deck or you're in the dugout, Bryce's case, when you're charting a game, watching what they're doing and see what you would do differently or if you do the same thing. So that's only going to help you. And a lot of times the batter hitter let you know what you should throw him. So if you threw a fastball to a guy, he's late on it. You don't want to throw a changeup because it speeds his bat up. But if he pulls your fastball, now you can throw your changeup. So the batter hitter let you know how to pitch to him. You may have a game plan on I'm gonna throw a fastball up and in and slider low and away. Oh, that's fine and dandy, but look and see that batter hitter let you know what you need to throw and set him up.
You know, to that point, George, and Bryce and Jack, I don't mean in any way to say this is to you two guys specifically or to be offensive, but, you know, you players today, younger players as you guys are, okay, you were raised in a different era. You know, you got Twitter and Instagram and Snapchat and Facebook and all these things to go look at all these videos, YouTube, et cetera. When I was watching these two guys who just joined us, Tony and George and Pete, you know, I was lucky if they were on the game of the week, and I got to see it on Saturday or whenever it was. And I just remember, you know, sometimes my mom would make a bowl of popcorn, and I would watch the whole entire game, the commercials, everything. I listened to the announcers, to the guys in the booth, and I learned about the game. I learned about, well, why did they do that when the guy was on second? I learned about, you know, not making the first out at second base because, you know, you'll get there eventually. Maybe you'll get in scoring position. I learned about not making the last out at third base, some things like that. But I listened and I learned because I watched the games intently. I've encouraged Jack, and I encourage anybody listening to this, to watch a game as intently as you would playing Fortnite or Clash Royale or any of the new popular games, is to really watch a game and listen. You know, you can watch some of the old ones. You can pause it. You can rewind it. You can re-listen. You can see the catcher sign. You can see where the pitcher's delivering it. You can listen to the commentator. You can listen to all the stuff around the game, and your baseball knowledge just increases vastly if you do that, in my opinion. I don't know, George, what do you think about that?
No, I agree with that. I mean, that's how you learn. That's how you get better. And it's all about learning and being able to go out there and put it into play, and not just go on. I don't care if it's great you throw a 98, but there are a lot of guys can turn that around, but being able to locate it in a certain spot. If this guy is a low ball hitter, you know you maybe come up and in on that guy. So just learn the weaknesses of that batter hitter, and then go with your best stuff. In Jack's case, you knowing that, okay, this guy has a good fastball or has a good breaking ball. And I always say that someone would ask me, how do you hit the curveball? I said, don't miss the fastball. So you got to be able to go up there and have confidence in what you want to do. And as a hitter, utilize the whole field. And being a switch hitter, you don't have to necessarily pull the ball, but pulling the ball is hitting the left center or right center. So you got to be watching the game all the time when you're on deck, when you're in the dugout, just being a good student of the game.
Hey, guys, I just want to say one more thing, you know, before we left. But, you know, all glory and credit is given to the good Lord, and he's going to strengthen you each and every day. So, I mean, that's just that. And, you know, keep grinding, do what you got to do, and stay hungry and focused. But I appreciate you guys. Thank you.
The prayer you just gave reminds me of the story. These two guys were teammates, and they were finished the game, and they were walking back to their cars, and the one guy looked at the other guy and said, let me ask you a question. He said, you think they play baseball in heaven? And the guy said, wow, that's a darn good question, but I can't answer it. So about a month later, he dies. And he comes back down to see his buddy. And he goes to the game, watches him play. He waits for the game to be over, and he goes up to him and says, you know, I got good news and I got bad news. And the guy down here said, well, what's the good news? He said, they do play baseball in heaven. He said, my Lord, what's the bad news? He said, you're pitching Thursday night.
Oh my gosh! Well, I'm gonna add to that, Pete, and say the opening verse of the entire Bible says, "In the big inning, God created the heavens and the earth." It's his favorite sport of all times, baby.
Well, obviously, the hit king Pete Rose is with us. Pete, I already kind of shared your story about in 1981 when y'all went on strike. But would you go ahead and share that, how you stayed in shape? Because I know a lot of the others, Tony said he went back to Puerto Rico and worked on it, but just share that.
Well, of course, the last game we played, I was chasing Stan Musial's National League all-time hit record. And the night before the strike, I faced Nolan Ryan in Houston, and I got a hit the first time up to tie the record, 36-30. And then he struck me out the next 3 times, and I didn't swing the bat one time. Nolan Ryan was a really, really competitive pitcher, okay? And it's like he just said, you're not going to beat that record off me. And then we went on a 57-day strike. And, of course, I played for the Phillies at that time, so I went back home. I don't think any of us knew how long the strike was going to be. And I got up every day for 51 days, 56, 57 days, and went to a batting cage called Jay Sweet owned it, called the batting cage. And I hit for 2.5 hours a day, every day. And I just kept my stroke. And then we opened up by playing the All-Star game in Cleveland. And I was the leadoff hitter in that game. As a matter of fact, I got a hit first time up off a guy named Len Barker. Then after the game was over, I lived in Cincinnati, so Cleveland was an easy place to get to. Then I drove to Philadelphia, and we started up the season against the Cardinals. I broke the record the first game back off of Mark Littell. I got a base hit to left field. And the reason I remember that is because Stan Musial, whose record I broke, was in the audience and came out to first base. Now, you got to understand, in 1963, my first year, Stan's last year. Okay? We're playing in St. Louis, and it's Stan's last game, his last at-bat. And I'm playing second base. He got a hit to my left. Right fielder picked the ball up, threw it into me. Everyone knew it was Stan's at-bat. And I took the ball over to Stan, which was a hit number 36-30. And I gave him the ball. I was a rookie. So I got to play against Stan 1 year. And I guess he never forgot that. And that's the reason he showed up in Philadelphia when I was pursuing his record. Kind of neat, right?
Well, I'll tell you what I like about that, Pete, is talking to you, and Tony and George and Garvey and these other guys, is that the respect that you guys had for each other and the greatness and those moments has just stuck with me. In spite of the competitiveness, not wanting to lose, always wanting to win, wanting to do more, be more aggressive, none of you guys ever lost the respect for the other folks that had done something so tremendous and so great. And that's one of the things I love about you guys and about the game is that you can be competitive and do all that stuff, and at the same time you can really honor a player the way you guys did, and that just makes it special to me.
Well, Johnny, first of all, let me give you something I bet you didn't know. Today is Tony's birthday.
I did not know that, and I'll be calling him right after we get off this call.
He's 78 years old today, okay? And you got another thing you got to understand, guys. That I met Tony Perez. I'm 2 days out of high school. He's 2 months out of Cuba in 1960. Okay? How many years ago was that? 50 years ago I met Tony Perez? 60 years
Sounds
ago.
like it. Yeah, 60.
60 years ago. Because I went to Geneva, New York to play professional baseball. It was Class D, New York Penn League. And when I got there from Cincinnati, the second baseman on that team was Antonio Perez. And because I was a second baseman, they moved him to third and put me at second. That's how far back Tony Perez and I go. He's like my dear friend in baseball.
Yeah. You guys have been friends a long, long time.
Oh, yeah. No question. 60 years. Is that a long time?
It is. It is.
And I'll tell you what, about a month ago or so, month and a half ago, we were both in Cincinnati. I don't know what we were doing. And we went to lunch. And Johnny, I sat there for 2 hours and have no idea what he said for 2 hours.
Yeah, he kind of thought like this and thought like he plays a baseball with me.
Baseball been very, very good to me.
my! You guys are awesome.
And I'll tell you something else, man. If you're a baseball fan, he was the best with a man in scoring position. That guy got dollar signs in his eyes when there was a man on second or third. You know, that's why he's got close to 1,700 RBIs. And don't forget, guys, that's hitting after Johnny Bench. Johnny Bench, a Hall of Famer, didn't leave too many ducks on the pond. So he got
you're right.
400 or 500 more RBIs than Johnny Bench, and he hit behind Johnny.
Wow.
And Johnny's on first, and I always tell him this, it took a triple to score him. he
was pulling the wagon, wasn't he?
Yeah. I mean, we used to say, we had an old cliche, guys, in baseball, but don't carry a piano on your back. Okay, some guys are just slow, Johnny. So it's okay to carry a piano on your back, but don't stop to play it. And Johnny used to stop to play it. Go ahead, Todd.
Okay, so we've got Bryce and Jack. What advice would you give each one of them, and then also the listening audience, because we've got a lot of kids out there.
Well, first of all, Johnny's heard me say this before, and I like to be able to critique every kid that comes in and gets an autograph from me. I work in Vegas 20 days a month, 5 hours a day signing autographs. So consequently, I get a lot of fathers and a lot of kids. And the fathers always ask me for advice. And because I haven't watched the kid hit or watched him play defense, I can't critique him. But I can give him 3 bits of advice, and I'll give the 2 gentlemen on the phone the same advice, and Jack's heard this before. The first bit of advice I can give you is to be aggressive, okay? The next bit of advice I can give you is to be more aggressive, okay? And the next bit of advice is never be satisfied, okay? That's why I was never satisfied as a player. That's why I got the record for 3 hit games, 4 hit games, 5 hit games. Because if I got 3 hits, I wanted 4. If I got 4, I wanted 5. If I got 2, I wanted 1. If I didn't have any, I wanted 1. That's the way you got to feel. You know, if you're in the batter's box, you're playing baseball, you're trying to get a hit. I don't care what the score is. 15-2, you're losing. 15-2, you're winning. Okay? And you got to set goals. And your goals should always be set which will help the team win. Because the only reason you play is to win. You don't play for exercise. You play to win. And the reason we were so good with the Big Red Machine, because everybody knew what their job was. See, everybody has expert in the world we live in. Johnny's got expertise, you got expertise, I got expertise. It's just a matter of going out there every day with your expertise and working on your shortcomings and trying to get better, and trying to get better. But the object of the game, and I got, 26 Major League records, and no one ever talks about the best record I own. The best record I own, or anybody could own. I played in 1,972 winning games. That's 250 more than the guys in second place. And that's
amazing.
And that's really a credit to the teams I was on and the players that I played with. Johnny, I played with 12 Hall of Fame baseball players in my. Listen to this. I was telling somebody this the other day. Johnny, you'll understand this, okay? These are my teammates. I'm going to go by position of my teammates that I played with. Catcher, Johnny Bench. Third base, Mike Schmidt. Shortstop, Barry Larkin. Second base, Joe Morgan. First base, Tony Perez. Left fielder, Frank Robinson. Center fielder, Tim Raines. Right fielder, Andre Dawson. Left-hand pitcher, Steve Carlton. Right-hand pitcher, Tom Seaver. Manager, Sparky Anderson. Backup catcher, Gary Carter. Now, when you got teammates like that, every position on the field, I played with a Hall of Famer at one time or another. That's pretty amazing if you think about it.
It's phenomenal. I want to go back to what you said about if you got 3, you want 4. If you got 4 hits, you want 5. I've just been in the dumps, depressed, not getting any baseball this season. And so I started going back watching old games. I watched some of your games, World Series. I watched some old clips of this and that. But I watched Dave Winfield, and he was trading baseball cards with this reporter. He's like, okay, you got all these cards. He's like, who are you going to pick? And he's like, you know what? I'm going to pick Pete Rose. And the guy was like, really? Tell me why. He's like, because if that guy had 2 hits in a game, you knew he was trying to get 3. And if he had 3, he was getting 4. He was relentless. He never let up. And I'm taking him of all these baseball cards. So I watched that about 2 weeks ago, and I mentioned to Jack, I'm like, can you believe that this Dave Winfield, complete different. He played in the National League for a little bit and then finished his career with the Yankees, I believe. But he had that same thing to say about you.
Yeah, he played most of his career with San Diego. And
yeah,
he had one of the best, if not the best. I didn't get to play against the other guy. Remember a guy named Rocky Calavito?
I do remember that name.
With Cleveland. Him and Dave Winfield had the 2 best right field arms I ever seen. And as you know or may not know, Dave Winfield was drafted in all 3 sports.
I did know that, and when I lived in New Jersey as a kid, I got a chance to get on the bus and go over to Yankee Stadium and see him play. Loved watching him play. He was big, 6'6", 230, big player. But my understanding, I saw a game, and at the time, they said he's the only player that did it at that time. He went from home to second on a pass ball at Yankee Stadium, and they clocked him once he got to first base at 4.5 strides to second base. He turned a pass ball, a third strike pass ball into a double.
Yeah. So, but Dave was one of those guys, Johnny, you understand this. We can name 2 or 3 or 4 other ones, that he never got his just due because he was the opposite of me. He didn't play on good teams. San Diego wasn't a very good team most of Dave's career, okay? Rod Carew didn't play on too many good teams. Tony Gwynn didn't play on too many good teams. There's a lot of good players that are really great players, but they never get the notoriety because they're just not on championship teams. That's why that's why I always emphasize about winning. Hey, listen, everybody on this phone call right now, and 2 of them are playing baseball today. Don't tell me, Jack, that you're not in a better mood when you win the game. Okay, sure, you get 3 hits. But if you get 3 hits and you lose the game, you're not as happy if you get 3 hits and you win the game. Or the other gentleman, Texas A&M wins, and he pitches a 2-hit shutout. He's the happiest guy in the world. But if he pitches a 4-hit, loses 3-0, he's pissed on the way home. That's the way it should be. That's the way it should be.
I can attest to this, and Jack knows it's true. I'm not sure about Bryce here, but Jack plays baseball at Katy High School here in Katy, Texas. And, the parents are discouraged and, told, hey, don't talk to the coaches, don't talk to the players, and then, let them do what they do. And then after the game, the players have an exit where they exit out of the dugout into the parking lot. And most of the parents, me included, will stay around and, shake hands, tell the kids, good game or whatever. Last year, I stood there for about 45 minutes, and I never saw Jack. And so I called him. I go, where are you? He's like, I'm at home. I'm like, I didn't see you come out. He said, Dad, we lost. I'm not coming out that gate. I jumped the fence, got my car, and I came home.
Well, okay, all right, that's a good point. Okay, let me tell you something. Johnny, let me tell you something. And that's probably good, okay? But that was the opposite of me. That was the opposite of me growing up. When I was Jack's age, I was a catcher too, by the way, up until a sophomore in high school. But I was very fortunate. Like Jack, his dad understands the game and played the game, okay? My dad understood the game and played the game. And my dad corrected all the things that I did or we did during that game on the way home. He never yelled at me in front of my peers, okay? And he was fundamentally sound. I think I was the most fundamentally sound player ever to play because I played all the positions and I was a switch batter. And I had a dad who was an athlete, and he was always taking me to his games. Whether it was a basketball game or a football game, I was a water boy. Basketball, I was a ball boy. Baseball, I was a bat boy. And my dad was always playing. But he would always, if he's going to criticize me, He criticized me in the car on the way home, not in front of my peers. Because a lot of these coaches today, I take my hat off to them, they're giving their time to these kids today. But they yell at these kids, and the kids don't want to play because they embarrass them in front of their peers.
Right.
It's called peer pressure. It's called peer pressure. You can't embarrass kids in front of kids because they don't like it and they won't want to play. And that would be my recommendation or my advice to parents today. You know, we're talking about the kids at Bryce is at Texas A&M. I mean, his dad's not going to stay around and yell at him after the game. However, if he was a player and he was a pitcher, he could critique the kid on the way home and ask him, why did you make this pitch, or why'd you do this, or why'd you do this, or why didn't you do this? You know, that's just the way it is. I can give you guys a quick story. And when I give this story, then you'll understand why I played the way I played. Okay? My dad was the best football player to come out of Cincinnati, Ohio. Okay? That's a fact. That's not BS. That's a fact. And my dad went to every game. First thing I did when I got to the ballpark, put Pete Rose Sr. 4 tickets. And my dad never waited around after the game. Okay? Now, don't forget, my dad at this time is probably more popular in Cincinnati than I was. Okay? And this is 1970. He died in December of 70. And I won the batting title in 68, 69, so I kind of become a star. And I come out, and he's standing by my car. And now right away, because he's standing by my car, I thought my mom was sick or something, because she was always sick, okay? And my dad looked at me, and I said, Dad, what's up? Is Mom okay? He said, let me ask you a question, son. He said, that third time up tonight when you had a man on third and 2 outs, and you hit that ball to second, did you run hard to first? And I had to think about it, and I missed the pitch. So, you know, when you miss a pitch and there's a guy in scoring position, you know, you think about it right when you do it. And I didn't run hard at first. And I said, well, no, I guess I didn't. He said, don't embarrass me in this town like that. I taught you when you hit the ball, you run until the umpire says out or safe. You got it? I said, yes, sir. He said, I'll see you tomorrow. Now, when you're getting scrutinized that closely in the big league game, you just put you put the pulse on automatic and just do it every night, every minute, every inning, every game.
Absolutely, and that comment stuck with you all these years, and you know, made you the great player that you were and are.
I mean, you got to have somebody that's pushing you. You got to have somebody that's watching you, critique you. Someone that played in Bryce's situation, someone that pitched well. Someone knows how to pitch. And Jack, someone who knows how to hit. Someone who knows how to catch. Someone who knows how to run bases. See, that's what it's all about, being a complete player, guys. Just don't be a guy who can throw the ball, Bryce. You know, if you get the hit, which you probably don't because of the DH, but you can be a great fielder. You can have a great pickoff move. Those are all things that's going to help you win games. You know, Jack, I'm not worried about you because you're a great young catcher. And that's the best position on the field to learn. See, that's the thing about Jack, Johnny. I don't even think you understand this. Jack Johnson understands the game of baseball. That's why he's such a good baseball player. Not because he can catch, not because he can throw, not because he can hit both sides of the plate, because he understands the game. He knows how to play the game. Most guys that Jack plays against don't know how to play the game of baseball. But Jack knows he's been taught the right way to play the game, and he just happens to have the ability to play the game at a high level. I mean, Jack, I don't want to blow smoke up Jack, but Jack's going to be in the big league someday. You can't catch like him, throw like him, and hit like him, and not make the big leagues if you're a catcher. It's just impossible. But he's got to put the right time in, doing the right things. Okay. Don't do baseball so much that you get tired of doing it. You know, keep it on the edge of your tongue and keep working hard. Bryce, keep trying to throw strikes. Develop your pitches. If you can develop a changeup, that's the best pitch you can have. Take it from me. I got 4,000 hits. Because what does a pitcher try to do, Bryce? You try to keep a hitter off stride. And the pitch that keeps a hitter off stride is the changeup. You got a great fastball and a great changeup, you can make it in the big leagues. You don't need a curveball. You don't need a slider. You don't need a screwball. You don't need a forkball. You don't need a spitball. You don't need a sinker. Those two pitches will keep hitters off. There's not that many pitchers in history of baseball I can think of. Mario Soto had a great changeup. Andy Messerschmidt had a great changeup. A changeup's a hard pitch to develop, but it's the best pitch to get the opposition out.
You need to know that Bryce's fastball is 98.
Okay. I'm not worried about that. I'll tell you why. Because there's not a fastball in this world that's thrown so hard you can't hit it. You can hit Aroldis Chapman. You can hit Bryce. Okay? I don't care. I'd rather face a guy throwing 98. Believe me when I tell you, Johnny, I would rather face Bryce than I would Maddox. Maddox 89, 90, 91. His ball would move 2.5, 3 feet. If you throw 98, I'd rather face a guy that's ball's moving as a guy that just throws hard. Now I don't know if Bryce has got movement on the ball. Okay, I hope he does, because now if you're throwing 98, it's like 105, because it moves away from you. But it's just rearing back and throwing a hard fastball. Big league hitters don't care. Everybody that plays in the big leagues, guys, can hit a number one. And number one is a fastball. And I'm talking about I'm talking about a 98, 97, 98 mile an hour number one. We can all hit a fastball. You just get adjust to it. Now, if Bryce is throwing 98 and he's got an 88 mile an hour changeup, I got a contract. I want to give him.
Dead. Well, that's why I was highlighting his 98 fastball, because if he does have a really good changeup, that is deadly. To your point, absolutely.
Or
deadly.
a curveball, or if he's got a good something off speed. We're talking about something off speed. And if he does, he's going to be a draft choice. He's going to get a big bonus, and he's going to have an opportunity to have, pardon my French, life by the balls playing in the big leagues.
That's correct. I agree.
I mean, I played 24 years in the big leagues, guys, and I can only sit there and start to tell you how much fun it was. Think about your dads. They worked 25, 30 years doing one job. Was it fun for him, or was it a job? Baseball's not a job. Football's not a job. Basketball's not a job. Hockey's not a job. Sports is fun. If you can work and have fun, you're ahead of the game. Is Todd still there?
I'm still here. I can't interrupt you because, everything you say comes out, it's just golden. So, it's coronavirus. I'm ready for this to be over with. Yeah, my wife did tell me to ask you something, Pete, because I know you watch more games than anybody else. And so my wife said, well, what's he watching right now?
Well, I'm going to tell you guys, Johnny, this is funny, okay? On this TV with all these replays, I watch Forrest Gump so many times, I'm dreaming about Jenny. Listen, I watch Rambo 1, 2, and 3. I'm waiting for him to get shot. Rambo, please get shot, will you? I mean, every movie I've ever watched is on every night. Every sporting event is on every night, replays. And I can't stand replays. Not from 10 years ago, not from 15 years ago. Now, if they had replays of Babe Ruth, I would watch it. Ty Cobb, I would watch it. Sam Musial, Hank Aaron, Willie Mays, I would watch it because I knew how good the players they were. It's so boring. And I live in the number one city probably being hit by the virus more than any city, and that's Las Vegas, Nevada. I'm sitting here right now looking at Aria, looking at Mandalay Bay, and looking at Caesar's Palace. And it's like a morgue. There's nobody in this town. It's like a ghost town. It's hard to believe. I even got in my car the other day and rode downtown Las Vegas Boulevard, which is only a block over from where I live. And there wasn't nobody. You could have threw a bomb out the window. No one would have got hurt.
That's crazy.
And I want baseball. I want football. Now, we got a good hockey team here. I want the hockey playoffs. I went to basketball playoffs. We all do. I think when you go through something like this, you start to understand how important sports are to our country.
Absolutely. 100%.
And not that other businesses aren't, because they certainly are. The airline business is important to our country. Everything's important to our country. And that's why I'm happy for these governors and letting these guys go back to work. Because in the long run, this virus could ruin our economy more than the number of people it's killing.
Well, I agree with that. And I also know, and I'm not a history buff, but, I am a sports buff. Sports has been used throughout our history to bring life, camaraderie, pick up the troops. I mean, you went over with Joe DiMaggio. I remember you telling me that. I mean, and that's sports, using that to help America, help the world. I mean, sports is very important, and a lot of people just don't get it, but it is. It does do something to our great country we live in, and it's very important in my opinion.
Just think about that, Johnny. Here's a kid from Cincinnati, average family. Dad was a banker, but he didn't own the bank. And I get an invite to go to Vietnam with Joe DiMaggio to visit the troops. With Joe DiMaggio. And when I went with him, he was Joe DiMaggio. He wasn't a breaking in Joe DiMaggio.
Right.
He was retired ex-Yankee with a 56-game hitting streak. Okay? And he was the nicest man that you could be to those soldiers over there. And I was just happy to be with him, happy to be part of his entourage. And that's what I was, because I was only a 3-year big leaguer at the time.
Right.
And now I'm hanging around with Joe DiMaggio. I mean, I lived with him for 23 days. I mean, that's how close we got. And when we got back, we become good friends. I mean, he was like every soldier he talked to's dad. That's the way he acted. And you could
it probably kept some of those soldiers alive, to be honest.
Oh, he'll walk into this place where these soldiers are, and, hey, this is Pete Rose, and I'm Joe DiMaggio, an old broken-down ball player. Yeah, right. And don't forget, these guys, we were the only Americans these guys would see for 6 months in Wolf's Joe D. And let me tell you something, guys. I met 7 presidents, and I envy and respect a lot of people. But first of all, the only person I've ever idolized is my dad. But Joe DiMaggio is right up there on that list as far as respecting people. You know, I played against Mickey. I didn't get to play against Ted. I didn't get to play against Joe. I played against Musial. I mean, there's one guy, guys, that I wish I could have played against. And I'll say this in all respect: he's the greatest baseball player ever to play the game of baseball, and that's Babe Ruth.
Yeah.
Because Babe Ruth did something that I don't think Gretzky could do in hockey. Brady could do in football. Okay, I don't think Tom Brady could save football. I don't think Gretzky could save hockey. But I know Babe Ruth saved baseball just by going into this town or that town for a 3-game series, and all 3 games would sell out. It enabled Detroit to grow, Boston to grow, Chicago to grow. It enabled those franchises to grow just because of Babe Ruth. Plus today, we're playing baseball in 2020. I hope Babe Ruth still has World Series records. And Babe Ruth had 714 home runs. He had 60 home runs in 1 year. And Johnny, they were hitting rocks.
Right. They were big, giant pieces of lumber.
They weren't hitting baseballs like Bryce has to throw today that are lively. I mean, Babe Ruth was the man. I mean, this guy, he used to hit more home runs than all the other teams combined. How good was Babe Ruth?
I don't understand that. That was just amazing. And nobody can comprehend that, honestly, because our version of baseball today is the ball that I've heard you talk about, the ball that Bryce plays with and Jack plays with, and and you're right. I mean, inferior bats, inferior equipment, and my understanding, you correct me if I'm wrong, Pete, but the stadiums were a lot bigger, and so he was hitting those balls a lot farther.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to tell something that Bryce is going to like to hear, and I really believe this. I hated pitchers. Okay, nothing personal, Bryce. But you're trying to get me out. And first of all, it's hard to get more than 3 out of 10 to begin with. But in today's baseball, we don't do a damn thing for pitchers. Okay, we juice up the ball. Okay, the stadiums are all bandboxes. Umpires won't call strikes, and we expect these guys to win. Yeah. Everything is based for the hitter today. Nothing is based to help the pitcher today. You know, you want to even it out. I don't want to move the mound in 58 feet, something like that. I don't want to do that. But I want umpire to start. The strike zone says it's from the knee to the armpit.
That's right.
I watch more baseball than anybody, Johnny. You know I do. And I sit and watch these games and games and games. I don't know the strike zone by watching these games.
Right.
See, when I played and we're getting ready to play the game and the umpires come out from underneath the stadium, there's one umpire's got a mask in his hand. Okay? Yeah. This is the advantage of being in the big leagues. Okay, or being in a conference like Bryce is in. Jack's not there yet. When he sees that umpire, he's going to know that umpire. Is that a good umpire? Is that a bad umpire? Is that a pitcher's umpire? Is that a hitter's umpire? Is that a high ball umpire? Is that a low ball umpire? And all you want him to do is be consistent that night. Be consistent that night. All these years, Johnny, let me ask you a question. You know pretty damn much about baseball. The National League was always called a low ball league, and the American League was always called a high ball league. You know why?
Honestly, I don't. I'm going to make a comment after you finish, but I don't know the answer.
I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to tell you why. Because through the years, American League umpires had the big inner tube outside of their uniform, and they stood up. The National League umpires had the chest protector underneath their coat, and they were down on their knee. If you're down on your knee, down on your knee, you're going to see the low pitch more than you're going to see the high pitch. If you're standing up, you're going to see the high pitch more than you're going to see the low pitch. Now they're all the same. The chest protector's underneath because there's no such thing as American League umpires or National League umpires. They're just Major League umpires today.
I got you. Well, no, I didn't know that, but it makes sense. And now I'm going back in my mind watching some of the games, American and National. I do in my mind see the American League umps, exactly what you said, in the National League. But, Bryce, this is kind of a comment, a question for you. How would you like this? My understanding is back in the 1800s, shortly after baseball, was invented, was being played, the batter, this was a rule. You can go look me up on this, Bryce. The batter got to tell the pitcher, I want a high ball or a low ball, and the pitcher was obligated to throw it there. And I learned that recently, and I'm like, are you kidding me? Bryce, I don't know how you would feel if Pete Rose got up to bat or Bryce Harper and says, I'd like you to put it right here, and you had to do that. My gosh, I wouldn't want to be on the mound with that.
It's hard enough to put it where I'm trying to throw it.
That's because you're throwing 98.
Yeah, exactly.
If you were throwing 88, you could throw wherever you wanted it.
Yeah.
Hey, so I'll start with you first, Jack. Is there anything you want to ask Pete?
Ask Pete just in general?
Yeah, I mean, so far I haven't heard much out of you or out of Bryce, so I'm just kind of giving you a chance to talk.
No, I mean, Pete, Mr. Pete, he doesn't like it when I call him Mr. Pete, so. Pete
Jackie, I've been called a lot worse, buddy. Don't worry about
it. We've been,
let me ask you a question, Jack. When you're up to bat, what do you look for?
I'm sorry?
When you're up to bat, what do you look for?
For something to hit really hard.
Okay, that's a good start. Are you a guest hitter?
No, sir.
Okay, that's good. In other words, you look for a fastball every pitch.
Pretty much, and then just adjust any off speed.
Yeah, that's not pretty much, Jack. All the time.
That's down.
You're up against Bryce. You're up against Bryce, and he's throwing 98. You better be looking for that number one. If he throws anything else, he's doing you a favor. Okay? That's why the controversy with Houston. They all became guest hitters, but the only problem, they always guessed right because they knew what was coming.
That is true. That is true.
You still got to hit the ball. Bryce can tell you what's coming. You still got to hit it. You got to hit it away from a guy with a glove. But you guys both know it's a big advantage if you know what's coming. Houston had Altuve had a big advantage. Bergman had a big advantage.
Right.
Because it's easy. It's easy to be a guest hitter and you know what's coming. You're really not guessing because you know what's coming. You just got to listen for the bang on the wall.
That's it. So, Jack, did you have a specific question for Pete? I mean, the greatest.
No, sir.
In my opinion, the greatest player of all time. Pete's already said it was Babe Ruth, but I tried to play the way I saw Pete play. I'd watch the game of the week. I'd see him head first sliding and diving, and I tried to play that. This is a great opportunity to ask him any question.
Well, Johnny, that's a good point. Let me explain that. I go around the country and I do appearances all over the place, and I always get patted on the back for the way I played. And the reality of the situation, Johnny, is everybody should play the way I played. Why? Because I played the right way. I played the right way on a daily basis. You got to play. You got to always understand, guys, that there's people in the stands. Not now for you guys. I guess at Texas A&M. Does it cost to go to a baseball game?
Yes, sir.
So if people are paying dollars to watch you pitch or watch you play, you got to bust your ass and give them their money's worth. That's your obligation. Okay?
Right.
Nothing more, nothing less. You have to always understand there's people that work hard for that money and they're paying it to watch you play. Okay? It's simple. You're only out there 6, 7, 8, 9 innings. You're only out there 2 hours, 2.5. And if you don't like being out there, go get another job. And in your case, you're out there once every 4 or 5 days. Okay? I don't know what I'd do if I was a pitcher. If I only got to work once every 4 days, I'd have to be a reliever where I got a chance of working every night. You're a starter, right, Bryce?
I've been relieving at A&M, so luckily I get to throw twice a weekend on a good weekend.
You got a smart coach because you bringing up there 98. I'd have you out of that bullpen too. No, there's not too many guys bringing up 98 out of the bullpen.
Well, I got a question because you said something earlier, and it's something I never heard you say, and I think it's very important for all the listeners, the young players, especially the parents, but it's very important for Jack and Bryce here. As you said something earlier about don't do it too much that you kind of get burnt out, but keep it on the edge of your tongue, keep that desire. What did you do? I know during the season you were relentless. You worked, you hit, you ran, you threw. But what's some advice for the listeners and the players, and I'm going to say it again, more importantly, the parents, in helping their kids to encourage them in their goals and dreams? What did you do when the last game was over? From that time until spring training started, what did you do so that you kept that love and desire for the game fresh in you for 24 years?
Well, when I played for the Reds, Johnny, what I did, I had my own basketball team. And we went around and played other high school coaches and teachers. Once the season was over, Johnny, or the World Series was over and I'm in it, I didn't hit in October. I didn't hit in November. I didn't hit in December. Because if you do that, then you take off January to get ready for spring training. All the hitting you did extra is going to get wasted, and you got to go through all that again in spring training. And I always hoped that the superiors on my team would set up spring training where I would round into shape 2 or 3 days before spring training was over. And now, if I'm trying to make the team, I'm going to go to spring training ready to play 9 innings. But I didn't worry about playing the game March 2nd. I played hard. Okay. I had to worry about April 2nd because that's when the season started. And if you got in shape too quickly, you lost the urge of working hard.
Right.
You have a goal when you go to spring training, when you go to a high school camp, when you go to a college camp. You have to have a high goal, and you thrive to get to that goal before the season starts. Because if you get to that goal too quickly, then you start jacking around and you don't work hard because it came so easy for you. You want to work yourself into shape and be ready to go on opening day. You got to be ready to go, not after the season started for a week. Okay, be ready to go a week or 2, 3 or 4 days before the season starts, because you rounded into shape. You're ready to go. A lot of guys don't know how to get in shape.
Right.
They don't know how to get
sense.
in shape. Yeah, you have to know what makes you ready for the season to start. You're an individual. You're on a team, and you worry about the results of the team. But you know this, Johnny. You can win pennants in April just like you can in September.
Right. That's right.
You win games in April. You don't have to win in September. Where I started in Cincinnati, Chicago, Cleveland, Philadelphia, New York. I'm saying the only place that had a roof was Houston. So you get a lot of rain. You get a lot of cold weather. You just came up from Florida. You're not used to it. It takes a dedicated player to bust his ass when it's 37 degrees out. It's harder to hit. It's harder to pitch. It's harder to get loose. That's why you always have to be tip-top shape. If you're in tip-top shape, you don't care if it's cold out. I used to love it to be cold. Why? Because pitchers can't get loose.
That's a good point.
It's back to hating pitchers again. Anything that was bad for a pitcher, I vote for. Within the rules. Well, within the rules. And if I was a pitcher, anything that I could vote for against a hitter, I would vote for. That's the mindset that they should have. You don't want hitters to be your friend. Maybe after the game, but not during the game.
Right.
I don't want pitchers being my friend. And I'm trying to kill him. Not literally, but I'm trying to beat his ass.
Speaking of pitchers, Bryce, do you have any questions you want to ask Pete?
One thing back on how you said, or more things are done for the hitters. As a hitter, what do you think about letting pitchers use substances for more grip, since everything is tailored to the hitter these days, legally at least?
I understand what you're saying, and it makes sense because it's hard to pitch without having a grip. I mean, it's dangerous, actually. I wouldn't want to face you throwing 98 if you don't have a good grip. I mean, I'd have a suit of armor on, okay, and then I couldn't swing the bat, so you'd have the advantage. But if you start doing that, then you're going to have guys that are going to start stick them on their hand, or they're going to put something like that on there. They got to create something that gives you a better grip. You know, as a hitter, it's rosin or pine tar. And you know you can't use rosin, you can't use pine tar. I can use it to grip the bat, but you can't use it on the ball. I never thought of it that way, but I never thought of anything like a pitcher because I'm not a pitcher. But it does make sense. It makes it an even playing field. If it's 34 degrees and they decide to play the game, you should be able to use something that gives you feel in your fingers. I agree with you there. Now, what that something could be, I don't know. I mean, I played the game 3,500 games, Bryce, and I never cheated anyway. I bet on baseball. That's all I did. But I didn't cheat. I didn't cheat against my teammates, or I didn't cheat against my opposition. I just went out and played the game. And to be honest with you guys, I'm going to tell you right now, and Johnny's heard me say this before, the easiest place in the world to hit today is the big leagues. And I'll tell you why. Everybody who plays in the big leagues has hand-eye coordination. We all know that. Everybody on this phone call has, Bryce and Jack, they all have hand-eye coordination. They wouldn't dominate like they do if they didn't. You get to the big leagues, mates are better. You get to the big leagues, umpires are better. You get to the big leagues, pitching control is better. You get to the big leagues, and maybe most importantly, you're facing the same guys year after year after year. They don't get better. You don't get better. That's why 3 out of 10 is Hall of Fame material. I made 10,000 outs. How about that, guys? 9,870 outs I made. That's a lot of outs, but I enjoyed making the outs because I had the opportunity to get hits.
Right.
That's the way you got to look at it. What other sport, guys? What other sport can we play today? Basketball, Michael Jordan, 3 out of 10. We ain't buying that 23. Tom Brady, 3 out of 10. We ain't buying that 12. LeBron James, 3 out of 10. We ain't buying that jersey. It's a failing sport, baseball is. And you have to realize that. And you have to adjust to that. That's why you can't get excited if you go 0 for 15. You're going to go 0 for 15. It's not the end of the world. I've seen guys hit 300 in the big leagues, and they go 0 for 15 or 0 for 20, which is 3 or 4 days, and they want to change their stance. The stance that got into the big leagues don't make any sense to me. I told Alex Rodriguez and I told Frank Thomas, Bryce, do they chart when you pitch every pitch you throw?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Jack, do they chart your at-bats when you play?
Yes, sir, they do as well.
Okay. Now, if you're 0 for 15, 0 for 18, you're going to look at that chart. And that chart's not going to say, believe me, that 9 at-bats you were too early and 9 at-bats you were too late. You're going to develop a pattern. Bryce, you're going to develop a pattern if you're in a little bit of a slump. Okay? And what you do is you look at the pattern and you make adjustments based on the pattern. As a hitter, I may back off the plate. I may get closer to the plate. I might move up in the box. I might move back in the box. I might pick up a heavier bat. I might pick up a lighter bat. I changed my positioning of my stance, but I never changed my stance. And I did that based on the chart. Bryce, if you see everything that you're breaking ball too much, you got to make adjustments because you're not going to be wowed outside. Then the next 3 hitters wowed inside. You're going to develop patterns too. And you got to look at your pattern to see what you're doing wrong. Keep it simple. It's harder for a pitcher to do that than it is a hitter.
Let me ask you this. What about players? Another question. Players looking at other, quote, successful players, not necessarily trying to emulate or be them, exactly, but picking up on little things that they may do as a hitter or even as a pitcher and working towards, like, trying to get better, seeing what some other successful people are doing and then trying to work that into your game.
No, the only way I did anything like that, Johnny, I'll tell you, I didn't hit like anybody else. No one else hits like me. Okay? When I played for 12 managers, and things that managers did that I liked, I put it in my program. And things that managers did that I didn't like, I put it in my program. But I didn't copy anybody when I was in the batter's box.
Right.
Because everybody, the secret to being a good hitter, and Jack knows this, is being comfortable. Okay? If you want to stand tall, stand tall. If you want to crouch, crouch. If you want to be away from the plate, be away from the plate. It's just like we all sleep differently. Some people can sleep on their side. Some people can sleep on their stomach. Our grandmas can sleep in a chair. You can't hit it. Right. Most guys can't hit if they got a toothache or they got a headache. There's something on their mind. Okay, so everybody's different. I told this before down when I worked with Jack's guys. We all stand different, but we all hit the same. You don't hit from the bat up on top or the bat down below. Willie Mays did. Bobby Tolan did. You got to get to that hitting area. That's where you got to get to. And you got to hitch one way or the other. So Jack's got his hands up, but he gets to the hitting area. Okay? And by the way, he gets there both ways. Jack's one of the very few switch batters that don't look like a switch batter. You know what I mean, Johnny?
No, absolutely. And a lot of early on in his life, people ask me, well, what is he, Dad? Righty or lefty? I go, well, you watch him swing and you make up that decision yourself because I can't tell.
Well, Jack's going to be one of those kids. Here's what he's going to be, okay? And you have too many switch batters in baseball today, and I never did understand the point, okay? I was 307 and 294. 294 right-handed, 307 left-handed. Comes out to 303. I get a kick out of these guys who switch hitters today. And left-handed, they'll bat 314, and right-handed, they'll bat 201. What's the point?
Not a switch batter right there, right? Not based on the numbers.
I can't think of any switch batters today that have similar averages from both sides of the plate. And Jack knows this as well as you know this. Okay? 65, 70% of the time, Jack Johnson is going to bat left-handed. I got over 3,100 hits left-handed, and I got 1,100 right-handed. Because is anybody on this phone call left-handed?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, that's it. That society, 13% of society is left-handed. So you're going to see a hell of a lot more right-hand pitchers, and you're going to bat a lot.
No, that's right.
And you know something else I never did, Johnny? If we had a left-hander pitching against us tonight, I batted right-handed and took batting practice. I didn't do half and half. If we had a left-hander tomorrow, right-hander tomorrow, I took left-handed batting practice. We were lucky in the big leagues because we had a left-hand batting practice pitcher. I bet Jack don't have a left-hand batting practice pitcher on his team.
Yeah, what do you got, Jack?
I mean, maybe like one guy. That's pretty much it.
Every pitcher is going to pitch against you, Jack's going to go down the bullpen for 25 minutes and warm up. And you're a catcher. If he's going to throw a fastball, he's going to give the fastball sign. If he's going to throw a curveball, he's going to give the curveball sign. If he's going to throw a slider, he's going to throw a slider sign. If he's going to throw a knuckleball, he's going to throw a knuckleball. Okay? So if you watch him warm up, you know what he throws. It's just a matter of facing him. Because 9 out of 10 guys who go down the bullpen and warm up for 25 minutes and go fastball and curveball aren't going to get in the game and throw change-ups and sliders. They're going to tell you what they throw. They're going to tell you what they throw when they warm up. So instead of jacking around during the game, watch the guy you never seen before warm up. I used to lead off hitter, okay? And I used to tell Bench, Morgan, and Perez and Foster and those guys, be in the dugout my first time up, because I'm going to try to work the pitcher and see as many pitches as I can see, where you guys can look at his repertoire, what he's throwing. And I never swung at the first or second pitch. I just hoped that he would get ahead of me, then he'd throw a breaking ball, or then he'd throw a change-up or a slider, because we didn't know what he threw because we never seen him before. And if you never seen a guy, you might be 0 for 3 before you know what the hell he throws, right?
That's that's right.
So that's all preparation. But you guys, don't forget, I spent 29 years in the big leagues, 24 years as a player. It was my livelihood. It was my life. I had to prepare myself like this. If you want to do the same, you got to prepare yourself the same way. Okay? But it's not work. It's not hard work. You don't look at it like that. It's preparation. You know, you're trying to prepare for what you're going to do in life, and that's play baseball or pitch baseball. You know, it's worth so much if you understand it at an early age that the sky's the limit. But you got to prepare. But you got to try to have fun preparing. And how do you do that? By winning. Okay? You want to be the best player on your team, but you want your team to win.
I think we should end it on that because I think our show's already probably going to be at least an hour and a half. But I do want to thank all of you, Tony, Bryce, George, Johnny, and Pete, for being on here. And also sharing this with the rest of, like I said, there's a lot of kids in high school, a lot of kids in college. This is going to help.
Well, for those kids in college and high school, hey, because you stay after practice and work hard, some kids will think you're trying to be a brown nose. Just laugh at them. You know, when I was in the minor leagues, they used to call me Hollywood because I ran the first or because I slid head first. Now, I'm laughing at all of them now. You just go about doing your business the way you want to do it. Don't worry about what people say. All you try to do is prepare yourself, pardon my French, to kick their ass. That's all you're preparing for. It's okay to be known as an ass kicker. Pardon my French, Johnny.
No worries. I agree with you. And you know what? I'm just so appreciative that you took time out of your day for everybody. Pete, I know Todd is appreciative. Jack, I know you've been studying and had tests today, and Bryce probably similar. So thank you guys, all of you, for your time. It really means a lot.
Well, good luck and stay safe, everybody. Wear your mask. All right. I'm going to say that's a wrap.